Hey CrossFit Heath. So for today's Olympic lifting session, we are going to be focusing on 3 lifts: power clean, push jerk, and overhead squat. So for our warm up, before we get into the working sets, you're going to go through a 30 cal row. If you don't have a rower or a bike at home, just go out for a 1-minute run. When you come back in, you're going to work through 3 rounds of 4 different movements: 10 arm haulers, 8 bootstrappers, 6 push up to pike, and 4 RDLs. And I will go through each of these movements here in a second. For our 3 lifts: power clean, push jerk, and overhead squat, there's some technical aspects that we'll go over today on each of those, and hopefully they'll help you work towards proficiency in each of those 3 movements. For power clean, we're going to do stay at 75% of our 1 rep max, 3 sets of 5. Push jerk, you're going to stay at 65% of your split jerk max and go for sets of 3 or 3 sets of 5 reps. And then overhead squat, 75% of your 1 rep max, and again 3 sets of 5. So a pretty light day. And then remember on these percentages, if you don't know these numbers, that's fine. What these numbers indicate are a medium weight for the athlete. They're not challenging in the fact that we're worried about the weight compromising our form. We are able to do each of these working sets with good, pristine form. So what I'm going to do when I get in the gym is work up to my 75% here, then my 3 sets start. Same thing for here and here. All right, guys, see you in the gym. So for our lifting session today, you're going to start off with a quick warm-up. I want you to do a 30-calorie row. For guys, 25 for ladies. Stay around 1,000 calories for your split all the way through the 30 calories. Let's get that heart rate up first. If you don't have a rower at home, just take off for a light 1-minute jog. And then when you come back in, I want you to go through 3 rounds of 4 different movements. You're going to start with 10 arm haulers. Then you're going to do 8 bootstraps, 6 push-up to downward facing dog, and then 4 RDLs with the barbell. And again, that's 3 rounds. So let me show you real quick. Arm hauler, you're going to get into a Superman position. You're going to spread those arms out, and you're going to slowly bring them behind your back, and then rest on your butt, and then right back. That's 1 rep. So you'll do 10 reps of those. Okay. Bootstrap, you're going to get into a squat position. Your feet will be slightly wider than hip width. You're going to grab onto those toes, pull yourself into the bottom of the squat, shoulders and head up, and then straighten those knees. That's 1 rep. And then 2. Go for 8 reps on that. 6, push up to downward facing dog. You need a good push up. In this position, 6 reps. Okay, and then 4 RDLs. You're going to start in the standing high hang position. Keep your those legs straight. Let that barbell slide right down the legs by pushing back the hips. When you get to mid-shin, go ahead and squeeze those glutes together and stand up, making sure to keep your spine neutral all the way through the lift. 4 reps of that. Okay, and then if you'll go through that 2, we're going to do 3 sets of 5 at 75%. Push jerks, we're going to stay at 65% of your jerk max, and then 3 sets of 5 on that, and then 3 sets of 5 overhead squat at 75% of your 1 rep max. So like I've been saying all week, if you don't know those numbers, then let's make sure that we're not worrying too much about the percentages, and you're thinking about how your body feels and what you're actually able to do. So before we get into the working sets, I'm going to talk a little bit about the power clean. We need to review footwork on that. We'll talk briefly about the push jerk. We saw that 2 times last week, and then we're going to spend most of our time drilling the overhead squat. I'm going to explain some some points of performance that you need to hit if you're still trying to get comfortable with that movement. So let's jump right into it. The first thing, power clean. What I want to see on the power clean is your footwork staying consistent with your squat clean. So if you catch the power clean correctly, you should be able to ride it down without having to move your feet into a full squat clean. So what that's going to look like is you're going to start the lift with your feet slightly wider than hip width. Let me back up so you can see. Okay, from here, I'm going to get tall, and I'm going to drop underneath, throw my elbows forward, and then stand. Now, if I do it correctly, I should be able to ride my power clean down all the way into a squat. Okay? What we see a lot of times is that since people know, athletes know that they don't have to drop all the way down underneath the bar in a power clean, they'll widen their feet to accommodate, and we want to avoid that. So oftentimes what I see is when athletes get underneath a heavy weight, they'll starfish it in order to get underneath the bar. And it feels like a good lift, but notice that I'm stuck here. I can't go any deeper. So what we want to think about is after we get to extension, I still want to jump underneath the bar as if I was doing a squat clean and keep my feet strict. See, from this position, even though I've caught it high, I still can ride it all the way down. Okay? If you can't ride the barbell down, then you know you've messed up your footwork there. So, on that power clean, we're going to stay at 75%. So what I'll do is I'll work up to my 75%, and then my working sets of 3 sets of 5 will start. I'm not going to cycle that barbell. I'm going to drop the barbell each time, re-gear up, and reset so that I can make sure that I'm pulling the barbell from the proper position. And what I mean by proper position, we just want vertical shins, flat back, shoulders slightly over the barbell, spine neutral. Okay, first pull is going to be slow. Once I get past my knees, I'm going to rapidly expand my hips and then drop underneath the bar and stand. Okay, for push jerk, your percentages are going to be a little bit lighter on this one. You're going to stay at 65%. Essentially, a push jerk is 3 commands that you're going to give yourself. The athlete is going to dip, drive, drop and catch, and stand. Okay, so what you're thinking about is pushing yourself underneath the bar after you've already driven it up. So a common misconception on the push jerk is that you need to make the barbell travel up. No, that's not the case. What you're going to do is you're going to provide the barbell a little bit of space from your body, and then you're going to drive your body down underneath the barbell and catch the bar. And what that allows the athlete to do is to get underneath a very heavy load so that they can finish with the barbell overhead. This is how some of the smaller weightlifters are able to lift weights multiple times their body weight over their heads with the proper jerk. So we're going to start from the rack if you have one. If not, make sure that you're properly power cleaning it up into the front rack position. From here, make sure your elbows are forward. The barbell should be resting on your shoulders. You're going to get a shallow dip, and you're going to drive that barbell up. So we want to get to extension. Now, here is as far as the barbell needs to travel. Okay, it's going to drive off of your body just slightly, and then you're going to push yourself underneath the barbell and straighten those arms and catch. Okay, and then finish in the standing position. Okay, again, it'll look like this. One more time. Okay, again, what I'm focusing on doing is just giving a shallow dip and popping that barbell up just enough to get separation from my shoulders so that I can have some room to drive underneath and drop it. Okay, so a good drill for that, if you have a PVC pipe, a broomstick, or a light barbell, what I want you to think about doing, and this is a training bar here, I want you to go to your extension, so at the top of your toes. Okay? From here, I want you to practice dropping underneath the barbell as quickly as you can and straightening your arms. Okay? Again, and stand. Okay. But what we're going to focus on doing is getting into the habit of pushing underneath the bar and straightening those arms as opposed to pressing. Alright, so the last move that you're going to be doing for today is the overhead squat. Now, I know a lot of athletes struggle with this movement, but there's a couple of things that you need to consider. If you've never done an overhead squat before, or if you're fairly new to the movement, you can't expect to walk into the gym and master it in one day. You definitely can't expect to master it if you haven't mastered a proper squat first. So getting a good squat is going to be your first step. And what we're looking for in a good squat, again, is feet slightly wider than hip distance, toes pointed outward, and the ability to send those hips back and go below parallel while keeping the torso straight, and then stand. So that's your first step. And then your shoulder mobility is going to be a big key here. What you should be able to do in an overhead squat is press into the bar, so apply pressure into the bar all the way through the movement. And then the third piece of the puzzle is going to be your core stability. So if you really struggle with sit-ups, toe to bar, or any other core movement, that's really going to be your point of attack before you can do overhead squats confidently. You need to have all three pieces of those in your toolbox in order to do multiple reps of an overhead squat well. So I know a lot of times we'll jump straight to the PVC pipe, but that's actually not the best tool to begin with. What I want you to do, if you're practicing the overhead squat, is start with either a training bar or a light barbell, so that you can kind of have a little bit of give and take. You can feel a little bit of weight resistance overhead as you practice your movement. So what we're looking for here is you're going to get into your snatch position. So we want to have arms straight with the barbell resting on our belt line. Okay, from here, I'm going to power snatch it up. And what I want to see is the athlete externally rotate their shoulders. So you're going to show me those armpits and press into the barbell. From here, I'm going to get into my squat stance. And the first step is going to be to just squat. I'm going to send my hips back, drive my knees out, go below parallel, and then make sure I'm stable in the bottom, and then I'm going to press all the way out of the squat. The entire time, I'm pushing into the barbell. Now, one of the reasons that we want to avoid starting off with the PVC pipe is that it's easy to get out of position overhead and not realize it. So, a PVC pipe is fine for drilling before a class, but if you're really trying to develop the overhead squat, what's going to happen is you may be behind your head through the squat and not even know it, and not really feel like anything's wrong. So with the barbell overhead, we need to make sure that the barbell is staying over your base throughout the entire squat. So what you want to think about having is your bicep right in line with your ear. As long as it's right in line with your ear, not behind, then you know where that barbell is. So if you can squat with your bicep in your peripheral vision, your side view, all the way through, then you're good. Okay? If you can't see it out of the side of your eye, then you know you're either forward or behind and you need to adjust. Where should you adjust? Either at the top of the movement before you squat, or if you get out of whack, at the bottom, readjust, get it overhead, and then come out of the bottom of your squat. If you try to come out of the bottom of your squat with the barbell forward or behind, that's when you're going to dump it.